Alright guys, welcome back. I hope you found the last video helpful. Now let us move on to the next level. I'm still recording, I'm trying to record some of these videos in one go, so I still have all of the output from the last level. And I also have the password right here. In case you've saved it somewhere else, you can just go and grab it, and after that we can start. Before that, let's try and find out what this next level wants us to do. So if we go over here, the password for the next level is stored in a file somewhere under the in-here directory and has all of the following properties. It should be human readable. That means we're looking at something that is ASCII. It is 1033 bytes in size, and it is not executable. This might seem overwhelming for you if you have not done this before, but let me simplify this for you. So all of these are just going to be filters that I'll tell you how to use. And let's say in case you encounter something else of similar sorts in the future, and it's not something that we have discussed in this video, you can always look it up at Google or ChatGPT, or even use the manual files if you're comfortable with that in the Linux terminal itself. But just remember that whenever we're trying to find something that has such specific criteria, we usually are going to use the find command. Alright, let me just get connected, and you can also connect to the next user, which is Bandit 5. And once you're done with that, let's go ahead and continue with our video. I'll just grab the password and I'll do Control-Shift-V and enter. And we're in as the user Bandit 5. Let's just do ls. We have the in-here directory as always. Let's switch it up to the in-here directory. And so you see that unlike the last level where we had just 10 files and we had to go through them and find the file that was an ASCII file, now we have 20 directories. And because I have solved this before, let me just tell you and save you the trouble of doing it yourselves. All of these directories have a lot of files inside these, so we cannot just use the previous one, the previous grep command to simply do this. We'll be using the find command, not only because it's a very powerful tool, but also because it has a lot of those filters that we're looking for, such as 1033 bytes in size and not executable. So what we'll do is, let me just type the command first, and then I'll explain to you what it actually does. I hope I'm not missing anything. All right, so there is the answer, but before we jump on into the conclusion of just trying to get the password and moving on to the next one, we have to understand what we actually did here. This is the only good way where you can actually understand this and also maybe replicate this when you're doing it yourselves. So as we discussed, the find command is a very powerful command. There is a lot of filters that we'll be discussing whatever you use here. And it's used to find a specific type of file or files inside a hierarchy of directories. That we can see that we have a lot of directories here inside the in-here directory, and we have a lot of files inside those as well. The first thing that we mentioned here is a dot, which specifies that we have to search inside the current directory. The second thing, we are mentioning that we have to search a file, which is we're specifying that with the -type flag and the F option, which stands for a file, so that it does not list the directories. If you have confusion in that, what I mean by that is, let's say it found the required file inside the maybe here 07 directory, if we have not specified this, it might also list the directory maybe here 07. Okay, and let's say if there are a lot of different kinds of files that meet our expectations but are slightly different, it might also list those over here. The second thing that we're mentioning is dash size. This is a flag in which we're specifying that it should be exactly 1033 C. C stands for bytes. And using the exclamation mark, which if you have had any experience in programming, you know that it is a not operator. Okay, so this is something that we're mentioning, specifying that it should not be an executable file. Okay, so it just returns the only file in our case that matches the specific criteria, because the CTF is designed in that way. Let's say if we have multiple such files that meet the criteria, we can just modify the command using the grep command. Okay, and I'll just type the command in front of you, and I'll show you what it does. So let me just do find dot dash type f dash size. See, it's not, and it's executable. Yeah. Dash exec file. Give some curly braces over here, and give backslash, and then we'll pass on the outputs of this command to the grep command using the -I, and finally completing over here. I'll tell you what this means, okay? So don't just be confused with this. Again, we get the same output because obviously in this particular case we only have this file, but just notice that it also gives us a lot of information that we didn't have earlier. So it said that it's a file that is an ASCII test with text with very long lines, or 1,000 of those. I'll tell you what it does here. Okay, first thing, it's doing the same thing that we did earlier up till this point. Now, after this, let's say it found a file. Okay, just like it did here. What it's doing is it's executing the file command on it, and after executing the file command, it's processing the output to grep, which is filtering out the only ASCII files that we have. In case you're confused in this, let me explain what it does. So just like before, we were using the file command and it was being followed by a file name, right? But then you must be wondering why we have curly braces over here. The reason for that is just because these curly braces act as a placeholder for whatever file we're getting through the find command that is running up till here. Okay, so it's just a placeholder, it's nothing special. Now, the reason why we're using the backslash, or I think it's a forward slash. Yeah, I'm a bit confused on that. But the reason why we're using this is because it's used as an escape character for the semicolon. Okay. The reason is, let's say if we hadn't used this, let me just do that. Let me just remove the escape character and see what happens. Right. So what it does is basically it's running the command up till here, but after you put a semicolon here, it tells the terminal that the command is over. But then there is something that we're using the pipe and grep command, so it figures out that this is something unexpected and something is broken in this command. Okay, we want to make sure using the semicolon that after the find command finds a file and it executes the file command on it, it should go on to the next file. It should go on to searching for the next file that might meet this criteria. That is why we're using the semicolon, but we don't want this entire command to break. If we don't use the escape character, the pipe symbol and the grep command, this will be seen as unwanted input, which is why we use an escape character to specify to the terminal that we are not ending the entire command over here. It is just that we are ending the execution of the file command on the specific file that we have obtained from the find command. So let's say we have multiple number of files over here. Say instead of just having file 2, we also have file 1, file 2, file 3, and so on. So what it will do is, let's say this command found file 1 as meeting our criteria. It will execute file 1, and then it will terminate this file command, and it will go on to searching the next one. So then it will find file 2, execute file on it, file 3, execute file on it, and when it's done, when this entire sequence is done, after that, all of those outputs will be passed on to the grep command, and the only ASCII files that we have from all of those file types will be returned to us. If that's clear, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Oh, sorry, my bad. We didn't actually get the password for that because I got so busy in explaining all of these. So let's go ahead, grab the password, and then we can move on to the next one. So I'll just simply do cat dot maybe here 07 dot file 2, and there we have it. So it had a lot of blank spaces, which is why it said that it had very long lines. So it calculates that as well. The spaces and the tabs that you use, it calculates that as well. Okay, but the only thing we need is the password over here. So we'll just grab it, and we can just come out of this terminal for now. I hope I was able to explain the find command and how we use the find and grep together. And even if this seemed a bit complicated, trust me, I did not come up with this myself. I had to do a lot of Googling and research. So you don't have to be terrified with this because I know I definitely was. The only thing you need to understand is how these things are executed. Once you understand that, and once you have the logic, you can always search up the commands and the syntax if you're ever confused. Alright, with this, let's conclude this video, and I'll see you in the next one.